Welcome, everyone. This is our
Chapter 4.
chapter 4 of Living A Course in Miracles call.
Today is December 8th.
And we are excited to be on with everyone. It's been a week since our last call. So if everybody could introduce themselves, tell us what city you're from. And we are Randy and Viola. We live in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm excited for the call because it's been a week and I'm really enjoying Ken Wapnick and his, I wish I would have really done this before doing the course, but it's never too late. That was my journey. But I'm excited just to hear what y'all have to say about the chapter.
Oh, I'm Craig Solander. I'm in Austin, and I haven't read this. I just wanted to sit in on a meeting, but Nathan sent me some of the notes, so I've looked at the questions for session 4.
Okay.
Oh, cool. There's questions, and there's also the narration. Did you get that too? That part too?
No.
The narration kind of is what Ken says.
I think it's later. It's like, that's a long document. Yeah, I think that
It's like 85 pages or something.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Hi, Angela.
Hi. So I guess I'll say stuff then. I'm Angela Irving, and I'm in Lakeway, Texas right now, but I live in Austin. I didn't take any notes on this week because I was listening to it all while I was driving, but I'm happy to be on the call and y'all can jog my memory.
Okay.
We're glad you're back from your trip and you're on the call with us.
What? Where'd you go?
I was in Kansas City for Thanksgiving. And then last week, I don't remember what was happening, but I couldn't be on the call for some reason. I forget.
Okay. Is it me now?
Yes.
Nathan Lively. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and excited to share some stuff with you guys that I heard in the book.
All right.
Awesome. Well, who wants to go first and give us tell us what your highlight was of chapter 4 of Living A Course in Miracles? You want to go first, Randy?
Well, no, never like to go first, but I can. But I did take notes. I did take notes, so I have to get my notes out there. This one was, chapter 4 was, wow, excellent. I listened to it maybe 1.5 times. I think I listened to it 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was on the origin of separation. And I think a lot of the highlights for me, or parts of it, were, when Ken was saying this is the unholy trinity, where you have sin, guilt, and fear. And the ego basically made this world, which we all know. And some of my other highlights I have here. The brain is a projection. However, we are all, I can't even read my own writing. He talks so fast that I sometimes don't stop it. But basically, we have to be in a point, what I got out of this chapter too, we have to be a point in our life where we're so desperate and things are so bad that we are looking for a change, another way, basically. And that, is basically the course is that invitation from the Holy Spirit for a lot of people. Basically, the course is not for everyone. It seems like if you've hit a point of your life where everything is absolutely miserable, and there is a different way, the course is there for you. This course will only work when you think there is not another way. Was another point that Ken covered as well. And then he talked about the anger part. Anger is never justified. When you get angry, don't try to justify it. And I think Violet talked that a little bit later, that you know, when we get angry, we try to justify why we're angry, and that's not the wrong way. It's almost, you need to forgive that person right away and not try to figure out why the anger is there. It's normal to get angry. Everyone gets angry, but don't try to justify your anger at that point. And then finally, the only thing you can trust in your own is your own power of a decision, where the mistake was made and where it can be undone. That was towards the very end of Ken Wapnick's part. So I think if a person would listen to this more than once, you would pick up a lot more on this particular chapter. But those are my highlights from chapter 4.
Okay.
Who wants to go next?
I can say stuff.
Okay,
All right.
let's hear stuff.
So let's see. One thing from this chapter. Quiet, cat.
That's
No.
helping.
Sorry, there's a
He wants to
noisy
talk
cat
to
over here.
on the
I
camera.
know. So he's getting into kind of the creation of the ego, and that's always interesting to me when he's kind of explaining why the world is the way it is. There was something specific that I wanted to say about what you said. Maybe I'll remember it in a second, but I think the main thing I wanted to share with you guys about this last week was not this last chapter that I read, but I actually read the second to the last chapter in the book, and I really loved it. I think he kind of summarizes the entire book and the entire teaching of A Course in Miracles kind of with an explanation compared to business and money. And that spoke a lot to me. And the realization that I had at the time that still makes a lot of sense to me is that any kind of communication that I'm having with someone else, whether it's in business, which is the comparison he's giving in that chapter, or in any other kind of relationship, everyone is always asking me, what if we were separate? And then I have the opportunity to say, yeah, what if we were separate? And then sort of go down that path. Or I can say, no, we were never separate and we're still at home in God, etc. I don't know. And that really meant a lot to me because I feel like I can kind of see every communication and every interaction that I have with someone through that perspective. And they're sort of either offering love or asking for love. Wait, they're either offering love. Yeah, I said it right. So that was the big thing for me this week. There was something about this current chapter, though, that I was going to share. Maybe I'll remember it in a little bit. Anyway, that was it.
Okay, well, thank you, Nathan. So you've done the whole thing then? You've done the whole book already?
I'm almost done with the last chapter. There's a couple of weird chapters towards the end where they have the recording quality is low because they're doing some sort of room recording
Oh,
Okay.
of like a different place. But then the second to the last chapter is good quality again. And now I'm on the last chapter.
okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm not quite done yet.
All right. All right. Okay, who wants to go next?
I don't know what to say. Honestly, it was hard for me to pick anything specific. Like, I mean, it was good to listen to, and I feel like I gleaned something, but I think there were a few times when I was like, oh, I've got to remember to write that down. And I was driving and I didn't get to. And so, and I don't know, this is the end of the semester and I'm having difficulty sort of thinking in like compartmentalization issues. Like usually I can kind of pop back into A Course in Miracles. And I mean, even doing, like, I forget what my lesson is for the day. Like, I don't remember, cause I'm putting together an event for students on Sunday. I have a gig tomorrow, and it's a really hard gig. And so it's I don't know, the world is kind of distracting me, if you will. So
Angela, I gotta tell you that I just read a section that says that it's a really common occurrence, and I've had experienced this over and over again, that you read a whole page of the text and then like immediately forget it.
Yep.
This
I haven't-
semester was hard. I think it was for me too. I felt like I listened to it once while I was multitasking and doing other things, and I thought, oh yeah, we already know that. And then I thought, well, maybe I do really need to take some notes, because what am I going to talk about for this hour with everyone? So I listened to it again, and I was like amazed, because I took notes, and it was almost like funny what the ego's plan was. Like the way Ken explained it was, to me, it was like the perfect ecosystem, and how he explained that. Well, I'll just have to tell you, because it was really good. After I listened to it a second time and took notes, it says here, so the ego takes my hand and says, we'll be out of our minds. So that's the dynamic of projection. And so you get a world, the way Wapnick describes it, is how the physical world came to be, which we already know this, but he said it in a way that was kind of story-like. So you get a physical world, you get the thought of sin, guilt, and fear, and we hurl it out there, and it's projected from our mind, and you get a physical universe of time and space. So then the ego then fragments it to billions of pieces and forms, which are other people. And each form believes I exist and I am sinful, and therefore my guilt tells me I must be destroyed. So it's how, and then the ego says, this is how you can divorce sin. So he tells us, this is how you can divorce sin and give it to someone else. Because I'm going to give you a family. I'm going to give you a mom and a dad, and they will be abandoning. They can't be there 100% of the time. You're going to be disappointed. I'm going to give you teachers. I'm going to give you siblings, rabbis, lawyers, physicians. I'll give you all kinds of people to be the projection of your sin. So you don't have to own up to your sin anymore. You can keep your individuality and make everyone else responsible. And so that's where the face of innocence comes in with everybody that thinks they're innocent. So this is the perfect ego system. And then it causes the veil to cross our minds and our bodies and our brain to forget. Like it keeps us in a perpetual state of mindlessness. So we can never, because we don't know how to get back, because we don't know we have a mind. So this is what I got the second time, and I thought, wow, that's pretty profound, just the way he explained it in a different way. And when, like Randy said, when you decide nothing else works, that's when you open up to the concept of the Course. And he also said about Hinduism and Buddhism, how they're, what did he say about that? I thought that was good. You will not find in Hinduism and Buddhism in that the world is not real. So the world is not real in Hinduism and Buddhism either. But it does not have the psychological component that the Course brings to it. So that's what makes the Course unique for our age. And understanding how the consciousness works, guilt works, and projection works. So I really loved how he explained projection. Like, it was almost kind of funny, but how we get stuck. I thought it was a good chapter after all. Like I didn't at first, but.
Yeah, it's definitely good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just funny when, I don't know if you guys have this experience where you're just kind of like, you're swimming in it, and it's just kind of your reality, and you're like, yes, I understand this. And like you make connections and everything feels correct. And then, or I'm definitely feeling monkey mind problems this week where I'm just like, and I can't get the whole picture because my mind is like, oh wait, I need to take care of this. Oh wait, oh yeah, I need to remember this about this other thing, So.
Yeah, the ego's very clever.
Oh yeah, mine's very clever.
Mine's more clever than yours. No,
Oh.
It's the same ego.
Fair.
I'm just kidding.
It's just-
It's the same
We are
ego.
one.
We are one. So Craig, would you like to say something? I know you've been studying the course for a long time, like a lot
Yeah,
longer
but
than all of us.
yeah, but really the last couple of weeks have been different because I just started reading Gary's book, the new book.
Oh, this one right here.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I'm almost done.
yeah, so it has me really excited and enthused, and for some reason things seem to make sense, or they seem to be working, or I seem to be able to use it, and I think it's been that way with each of his books that I've read, that it would get me going, like kind of like a catalyst, or lighting the fuse or something. But this time especially, and so the last couple of weeks have been really easy for noticing when things are happening. So not very comfortable, but I could tell that I was in the grip of something like the ego, where even to the point, and it's happened to me, the things I go through, I've done so many times over and over and over, that it's kind of, I see it happening and I go, okay, I know I can be angry about this, but that hasn't worked very well. So
True.
Usually for the last couple of weeks, forgiveness has worked really well. And when it didn't, I would just see that, okay, I'm in the grip of it, and here's how it feels. I'm in the grip of the ego, and here's how it feels. So at worst, I was noticing. So it's been really good. That's why I'm pretty excited about it right now, and that's why I want to pursue the Course in Miracles again, more seriously, more diligently, more like a practice. And I was struck by what Randy said about that when it starts working is when someone decides that there's nothing else other than A Course in Miracles. Is that what you said?
Pretty well. They've hit a point in their life where, nothing seems to be going right. He called it rock bottom. And that's when a lot of people are ready to receive the Course in Miracles.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I was taking it a little differently, where, you're just done. You're done knowing all of your own methods didn't work,
Mm-hmm.
And so, forgiveness works, and it's demanding, and it always brings something new, and so that's why I like it. That's why now I'm kind of getting that feeling like there is nothing else to do. There is no other choice that's really going to have any progress. Anyway,
Totally
that's this week.
So you've gone through the whole Course in Miracles?
Yeah, a couple of times, and so I know I'm not going to do that right now. So that's why I've been looking at Wapnick's books, and Nathan's a good guide on what the books are and different ones to read. Yeah.
This one in particular, the Living A Course in Miracles by Ken, is I can see how I wish I would have done that before starting the course.
Right.
It made no sense for me. I stuck with it, but a lot of times I'd be like, well, how come this and how come that? And the definitions are so different from biblical, because we were raised Catholic and had a certain belief system, and then all of a sudden that wasn't working for about 3 years. I did nothing. I kind of quit going to church, and then that's when the Course in Miracles came into my life and made total sense. So now I've learned, so much, and it's just a different philosophy, I guess you would say. And then I just got diagnosed with cancer about 2.5 months ago, and now I'm like, it's been so helpful But in a way, yes, and in a way, no, because I was so used to this comfortable religion where I could ask God to cure me. With the Course in Miracles, you don't ask God to cure you because you're not really sick. You're not really here, So that's been a little difficult. And but then, reading this book, I'm almost done with it. It talks about forgiving before you even stop to analyze it, which was
Interesting.
blew my mind. I was like, I thought I could analyze it and then forgive it, but it's so it's just like once we stop learning this.
Just in case there was a different way out, huh?
Yeah.
You're like,
so
no, I got it figured out. I got it.
This is the first time I've heard of, today was the first time I'd heard of this Living A Course in Miracles, so I'm pretty much unfamiliar with Wapnick's books. So.
Oh, he's so good. Like, we've listened to a lot of his videos. I've read several of his books already. But this is like, I would tell anybody to do this first.
Yeah, I noticed it has questions and everything, so, that's pretty good. It's I think that part's important where you nail it down with something like answering the questions. I don't know. It just seems to work for me.
Yeah, it kind of applies it to your life.
Oh, Amber Alert.
Alerts. Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah, I find the questions to be pretty challenging. It's like when I'm reading it, I'm thinking, yeah, I got it. But then when he gets to the questions, I'm like, oh man, maybe I don't got it.
We're going to talk about we always think of the mind as being
Oh, yeah. The mind is actually in between the soul and the spirit. That's what the mind is.
right.
Not the brain at all. The brain projects what the mind believes. And the mind consists of the ego and the Holy Spirit in between. So I'm just learning from Gary Renard's book. This like so good.
So, the part of this was said the mind dictates what the brain does. Separate. Basically, choose the Holy Spirit's voice rather than the ego's voice. This was a very powerful chapter.
The next chapter, chapter 5, I've already listened to, is going to be exciting to talk about because it talks about magic, the magic that we use in our ego life, which is okay because that's what our experience is, but it's just like a good chapter. That's what we're going to talk about next week.
Okay.
Yeah, chapter 5. So basically, Craig, you're not listening to it. You're just going to use the.
I just ordered the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't even have it yet. We just talked today, and he said he was going to come to the call, and I just sent him the PDF, so just started.
Yeah, because we got the Audible.
We got
version,
Audible,
chapter 40 chapters, and basically what we're listening to at this point.
And listening to Ken talk about it, he's very he's so confident, so sure, so good.
I like his accent.
Yeah.
Because.
Oh my God, I hate his accent. That's like that's a big problem for me, especially his wife. And the whole time listening to it, I'm like, I guess this is the thing I'm supposed to be forgiving while I listen to this, is your wife's accent. It's terrible.
I haven't heard his wife yet.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that part either. I'm just sticking with the chapter that we're on and just kind of listen to it. I think part of the issue for me is that I'll jump in the middle. I'll just kind of listen to when I need to get out of the car, and then I'll come back in and be like, okay.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah.
And then I'll jump back about a minute or so, but still I'm kind of like, okay. Yeah. But I can talk about life stuff if we're in that section.
I was about to ask life events that people want to share.
Yeah, I think I have more of a question because it's sort of a discussion related to I think it was chapter 2 when he was talking about you have to bring the darkness to the light and not the other way around.
Right.
And to me, I feel like I've experienced a variety of ways in which I've dealt with the darkness. And some of it felt like that, and some of it felt like it worked better for me to just be like, to just say my lesson for the day, and it just like cleared it up. And so I was like, well, so Ken said not to just go repeating the lesson for the day and just like basically hope that your problem disappears, but it happened. And so I don't know, it's kind of, it's confusing because I know that there's probably these interesting little fine lines and a continuum because yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, I was having a little bit of an anxiety issue where I was feeling kind of like a spaz. I think it was yesterday because I hadn't slept a lot and I was kind of like having memory issues and being like, wait, what was I doing? And the thing that worked for me, like originally I was kind of like, okay, I'm feeling this way. I need to like forgive it. I need to, I can't remember exactly what else I did. Like I was just kind of like aware of it. And I think I might've been like over aware of it. You know, I mean, it's this weird kind of fine line that I don't really know. Because I think he was warning against like, oh, denial is the worst kind of thing that you could do. Like denying that you're experiencing something and just being like, oh no, I'm perfect. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm good. Like, there's no like violence in the world, whatever, you know, like I've definitely never, I don't feel like I've ever done that. I've always been incredibly aware of whatever darkness I was experiencing. So that chapter was kind of like, well, I mean, duh, but at the same time, it's not the same case for everybody else. So I think maybe I was focusing on it too much, and then forgiving it wasn't really doing it as much for me. I'm trying to think of what else. I can't jump back into this as well as I thought I was going to. But I think one time, oh yeah, I think I just realized I'm like, no, I'm not a spaz. So that was that, but that's right. That's the thing that ended up working. But that was kind of the thing that he said, don't do that. You know, like don't, you know, do you know what I'm kind of trying to get at? I'm like trying to find the line of this.
Like be normal? Or no?
No, I mean.
Analyze it?
Analyzing
Were you
what
analyzing it?
The why?
Okay, so I'm not really sure how to, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I was trying to listen to the things that Ken Wapnick was saying about don't deny the darkness, like bring the darkness to the light, as opposed to just say, oh no, everything's fine, I'm fine. Like I'm not here.
You have to see the darkness first. Yeah.
Yeah. And like part of me feels like, well, yes, of course I'm going to see the darkness, but I didn't, I don't even know.
I about that in this chapter as well, about the darkness. And let me see if I took a note on that. He did talk about that it's like you can't learn about the light. You can't learn about light looking at the darkness. Does that help at all? Or something like that?
I don't know. Because it sounds like, I don't know, somebody says, somebody says something and then somebody else says something that sounds like the exact opposite. And you're like, well, what? Like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, this is confusing.
Yeah, I get you.
I think what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to make sure that I'm not denying the darkness, but while I'm talking about this, I'm like, well, I don't think I ever have. And then maybe I was just focusing on the darkness too much in an attempt to like not deny it and then say, oh no, I forgive it. But then the thing that worked for me yesterday was I'm not a spaz. Like really just saying, and like I got that from Marianne Williamson. Not I am not a spaz, but like she said something like,
did you ask the Holy Spirit for?
I did actually. I was like, okay, I'm feeling this way. Help. Like, I don't know. Like, help me. I don't know. What do I need to do about this? Like, what should I do? And I don't know. I didn't really get maybe I wasn't just available as I've been in the past, but I just didn't get as much clear of an answer this time. But I think I am just kind of, I don't know, fragmented. Harder for me to like.
I gotta tell you, I never get an answer to that question like you do in terms
Really?
of like ideas or words, but it still makes me feel better to ask for help.
Mm. Yeah, there have been times when I've gotten some really specific information, and that's nice.
Tell me where the money is buried.
Because the Holy Spirit cares about that.
Yep. You know, because if I'm rich, I can help spread the word of the Holy Spirit.
So did
Nathan's
you
funny.
get your life event answered, Angela, or have you
Well,
got?
it was more of a question, and it was more of a discussion about that whole bringing the darkness to the light and how to. I mean, I guess the sort of the forced answer is that it may just be different every time. And there were times this last week that I was feeling something, and I just had to experience it, and I couldn't like forgive it because it didn't seem like that was the right thing to do at the time. I just had to kind of go back to the Buddhist noting, kind of like, oh yes, I'm experiencing this, I'm angry or whatever it was, because for some reason forgiving it at that time, it didn't feel like it wasn't going to be the thing that worked, but it did eventually go away. So it just seems like I've had a bunch of different experiences of how to dissolve the darkness this week. So I don't know, it was more of a discussion to see if you guys had the same experiences of like, am I bringing the darkness to the light? Am I doing this right? Oh,
Yeah, that chapter was like very, very negative. It was like, oh my gosh, we've got to focus on negative. It was kind of like that, you know, but you have to see the negative in order to, before you can see the light. And I can't even remember that chapter already. I've already forgotten.
I have one thing that I could say that may be related, Angela.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking also about all the stuff in the course about not hiding anything from the Holy Spirit and like sharing everything, because it's the things that you hide that are the things that you still haven't forgiven, and those are the things that the Holy Spirit can help you with. And I've been wondering how you do that. So sometimes like I'll think of something and I'll be like, oh, this is something that maybe I haven't shared with the Holy Spirit. So I guess I share it now. And how do I do that? So the answer for me has been to just ask for help more. So I'll say, you know, like you just said, like, help me to see this differently. And I think that's it. Like that connected the dots for me of like, that is the step where I say, I'm sharing this with you. Now I'm bringing the darkness to the light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that actually reminds me that there was a few moments where I was like, hey, can you carry this? Hey, like, yeah, please. So that rings. I think it's easy for me to forget to do that. I think there are a few times when I did remember, and that was good, even though it didn't.
Oh, sure. I mean, the remembering part is the hardest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can speak to that. Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks for sharing, Angela.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any life out in the field? Out in the field.
Do you, Viola? Forgiveness in the field?
Forgiveness in the field. Yeah, well, this one's just kind of like, I've already told you about this dog that yaps at 6:30 in the morning.
You finally killed it.
She won't let me.
No. So this is just really bizarre because the other morning, I always start with the Song of Prayer and I have it like recorded in my voice. And then I'll meditate for like 5 minutes. And I remember the dog was just yapping. It was like 6:37, like of course, like it normally does. And I just thought, you know what, dog, I love you. Instead of all this hate, I'm like, I just thought in my mind, dog, I love you. And it quit barking. It seriously quit barking for the rest of my meditation.
Whoa.
So that was pretty cool. I tried doing that today and it kept barking. So oh, I don't know how to explain that one. But that's one experience I had. How about you, Randy?
No, not really. I think mine, I was not really on last week, only for the very end. I think my life experience, I'd say the week prior, was, when we got the news that Viola needed one more chemo. In my mind, it was 3 chemos, surgery, 3 chemos. And then the surgeon, and rightfully so, basically said, no, let's do one more chemo. There's a few things that I want to make sure it gets shrunk down a little bit more. And then based on another cancer marker, we'll plan the surgery in January. And it's like, I just had a rough time with, why aren't we following the regimen that we talked about a few months ago, which is selfish in my mind, because the doctor's doing everything possible for Viola's health, which makes all the sense in the world. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that does make sense. But at the time, it was like, no, let's stay on this schedule we've talked about.
Your ego wanted to take control.
Yeah. And of course, I'm sure it's the right decision.
The Holy Spirit wanted me to have another chemo. I'm sure I needed it for spiritual reasons as well, because it's just how, like, I talk to the Holy Spirit so much anymore, because I'm not like you guys where I'm immersed in work. Like I just removed myself from all that, and so I can just like really focus. But now it's like, it's like so hard, so much work on my mind to stay positive, because then the little things will happen, and it'll be, and then I'd get all this fear, and so all this reading about this is really, really helping me stay in the positive, because I can't go negative. I have to stay positive. And most of the time I am, but I have my moments.
Yeah, and on the bright side, the cancer marker, back in September when we started this journey, normal is 0 to 35. Her first number was 747. And we found out this Monday, and it was kind of, we were like little kids when we got the report in the email. It's like, let's open it up and see. And both very excited that her number is 78. That was a number prior. They take at the same time they're doing her 4th chemo.
And
so right now it's probably even a lot lower than that.
What I just read too this week is that miracles in the Course in Miracles has a different definition than miracles in Christianity. Because miracles in Christianity, it's like, I didn't write this down. I think it was at the end of this chapter. It was at the end of this chapter, and I thought, dang, even the word miracle has a different definition in the Course in Miracles, because
it says miracles is the name of the Course gives to the process of taking our attention from the dream back to the dreamer.
That's all it is. And there's no hierarchy of cancer versus I had a bad night's sleep or whatever. Like it's all like just where a miracle in Christianity would be like, oh, so-and-so got cured. And if you get cured, it's all in your mind anyway. So it's just
that's true. Nathan, any life journeys that you wanted to share, or Craig?
Oh my God, so many.
We've got the time.
More than Jared if he was here.
Oh yeah, man, I gotta roast Jared since he's not here. I forgot. Yeah. Oh man, I didn't prepare. Happy birthday, Jared, if you're listening to this later. I hope you have a hangover or whatever. So, I guess the main one I'll share is that I got in a fight with my wife this weekend, And it was just sort of like a longer discussion than we normally have about things that you or I are not doing right. And I had the awareness at the time to ask to see this differently, which is like, I've asked for enough times that I can like, it's kind of in my head. And so I've noticed that the times when I don't do it are when I'm most upset. Like the feeling is strong enough that it just kind of blocks that remembering somehow.
Mhm.
But I was calm enough, I guess, that I could remember to see things differently. And I can't really say anything that happened. Like, the discussion still happened, and like, we were kind of mad at each other, and it was a fight. But then the result of it is that it allowed me to take responsibility for some things I had not wanted to for a while, and it feels like it was the beginning of going down a path that will lead to some growth. And I think that I maybe had been fighting starting that path for a while, is kind of the clarity that I just had with like taking a couple of the first steps. So I don't know if any of that stuff's related, but it feels like it is. And that was my forgiveness lesson in the field, or my forgiveness experience.
So is it all good now between you and your wife?
Yeah, I mean, it was never bad. It's like a thing I'm working on now. It's just started kind of a process, and yeah, things are good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Craig, anything you'd like to share?
Well, I only have two areas. One is work and one is home. And the things that come up at work are usually real clearly like the ego issues we were talking about. But at home, it's a little different. It seems like, I mean, it still falls in that category, but it's a little different opportunity for me where in my marriage, our partnership is good. And I'm noticing this week that in the last couple of weeks that whatever disturbs me is in general coming from me expecting to be pleased in some way. And I saw this article today that, sometimes something's going on and then you find it somewhere else out in the world too, like a sign or a symbol. And today I saw this article that a woman wrote about, it's probably good to displease men. And when she said that about, this expectation of being pleased, I recognized it. But what I was getting this week about an opportunity for me is to, go from there to being less of an individual, like not have that thing be the thing that I'm automatically looking at to be separate. Do you see? So right on the other side of that would be me not separate in those situations. So that would be, I don't even know what it would be like. So it's like I saw, it was like I was looking at a mirror and suddenly it was a two-way one that I could see through, and I was looking at something that I'd never seen before, an opportunity to something that I don't know what it is or how big it would be, but it would be a good place to go. Yeah.
Very nice.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
It makes me think of what I was saying at the beginning about people offering you an opportunity for separation or an opportunity to do whatever the opposite of that is. And I forgot to mention that fight I was having with Ellis that's when I kind of had that realization that like she was asking me like, what if we were separate? And I kind of had the opportunity to keep fighting about it and try to be right or try to be happy. And so that's what your sharing is reminding me of.
Yeah, I'm interested in that question about what it is people do each time they interact, what you said. And, you know, if it really is like that, like every time you meet someone, let's say you say hi to a stranger, you know, is that the question they're asking is, well, are we going to pretend here? What are we going to pretend? Are we going to pretend to be separate, or are we going to do something else? And then you either do what's normal or you do something else. I don't know.
Interesting question. I guess it depends on the person you talk to, because if you try to talk to them thinking they know as much about the course or what you're trying to project to them, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer would be. Probably be our normal meet and greet and try to
Yeah.
I think
best behavior.
it makes me think more about giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. So when I meet someone, am I going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're a good person and I'm a good person and we're going to sort of meet on the same level? Or am I going to not do that and instead consider them potentially a threat and I need to protect myself? And then we get into the like defensiveness stuff in the Course in Miracles, I guess. I don't know.
The ego's
But I
trump.
guess the stuff we do in the world is not necessarily connected to the stuff we do in the mind. So you still have to protect yourself. I don't know. That's like a whole other can of worms, I guess. Never mind.
Yeah, I think
Next chapter. Chapter 5.
it strikes me that I asked the question wrong, that the question might be, you know, what am I going to do? Not what are we going to do? What am I going to do? So what am I going to pretend?
Right.
To? Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the lumber store. I had to go buy a washing machine, and I was checking out. Where's one guy ahead of me, and you could definitely tell he was different in the terms of norms. And you know, he turned to me and basically said, "Hi, how's your evening? And how's everything going?" And that, you know, not a normal conversation at a hardware store, but. I just, you know, shook his hand and asked him what his name was, and you could tell that just brightened him up. Like, gosh, someone's talking to me, and you know, told him to have a great day. And leaving the parking lot, here's where the ego takes over. I'm thinking, boy, I hope he's not out there waiting to talk more, because he was a bit odd. You know, maybe needed a ride somewhere. And God only knows, I probably would have given him a ride somewhere just based on how I am. But yeah, you know, that was my opportunity to, you know, hopefully brighten his day up a little bit. That someone did take the time and talk to him. And I'll do that all the time. You know, most of my career has been in upper management, senior management. But I always had the philosophy that you know, the weakest link on the floor was where, you know, how successful I would be. So I would take the time to talk to everyone. I spent the time out on the floor getting to know people, not really, you know, worried that I'm going to catch them doing anything wrong, but they always knew I was there. I would on the floor and they could stop and talk to me. Just with my philosophy with dealing with people.
That Randy Krebs, he's everywhere.
Well, they said that. They said there's been times that, you know, they know that I could even show up at 3 a.m. in the morning.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, there were certain operations, like, you know, my background was aerospace, and there are certain operations that, you know, we're talking, you know, millions of dollars on the line if something goes wrong. And I would be there, and they knew it. They knew that it wouldn't be uncommon for me to be there that time. So it was fun. Fun illusion part of my life. Anything else before we wrap up tonight's call?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for letting me sit in.
Oh, you're always welcome. You're always
Well, we'll try to wait. No, Randy, I was going to say that we will discuss whether or not he'll be allowed back, but you messed it up.
No.
Oh my gosh.
It's a part of something.
The parentals are always
The
welcome.
parentals, yeah, definitely. Anything else anyone wants to share before we end the night?
This was something that this chapter actually mentioned was something about we only find the Course in Miracles whenever everything is going wrong or like we've exhausted. Funny because I don't feel like everything in my life is going wrong. In fact, there have been plenty of times when I felt like this is the happy dream. I mean, it's not always the happy dream, but sometimes it's more the happy dream than it was. And I feel like I've been kind of going in this direction more before I found Course in Miracles. So that confused me. And so then I was wondering, maybe that was another time that I don't remember, another life or something that
Thousands of lifetimes of times.
that,
Yeah.
A non-linear world.
Yeah, I think he was just saying
Fair.
people are more open or looking for something. That's when they discover the
Yeah, but
Course.
she was having good. She was having good.
It's not, doesn't have to be for
Like I
everyone.
wasn't having bad things going on, but it was like I still felt a void. Like because I had removed myself from going to church for 3 years or 4 years, 3 or 4. But then when I started reading the Course, I'm like, this makes so much sense. This is just exactly what is going to fill that void. And then what I learned now is that I really can still go to church and not change my behavior and just have the awareness because my granddaughter wants to go to church. She does. And she actually asked us the other day, pretty frankly, Nini, how can you quit going to church? And I said, well, and I gave her this like adult answer. And she's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I want to go to church on Sundays. And we'd be the only ones that would take her. So I think, for me, I think going to church gave me something to compare it to and to actually have that, because we experience the ego world and it's more of a social thing than a spiritual thing. But
So true.
basically, Jared just said, Angela, you're going to love this. You need to be on this call. You need to listen to this. And I was like, okay. So I listened to it, like, texting him, like, what the crap is this?
Yeah, he was like, I see a lot of future pain in your life, so get ready.
Yeah, that's our boy.
Angela, you're so cute. I do remember when you first came on, I'm like, she's not going to stay. I'm like, seriously, she's not going to stay. You have stuck.
I have grit.
Yeah. You are.
If I have anything, I have grit.
She saw that look in your eye, and she was like, "This Viola woman doesn't think I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna show you."
There we go.
Hey, it's your face.
That's cool.
Yeah, now that he's on, I can
She's
turn.
been here this whole time just to spite you, Viola.
No, we know you were there.
Yeah, it was just the God part.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know how I can. I don't know. I don't. What?
That's what you were saying, like the first couple of times.
Yeah. I was like, everyone else is having a big issue with God didn't create the world. I have a big issue with God is. So.
That's true. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. It will continue on next Friday. I'm sure Jared is planning to be back, and he will watch this recording. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Of it, and enjoy going through chapter 5 or chapter 14, Nathan, no matter wherever you are in the course. And next week we'll be covering the highlights of, what is it, magic?
Magic, yeah.
Magic in chapter 5. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night. We love you all, and God bless.
God bless everyone.
Thank you.
Love
Bye,
you.
guys.
Awesome to have you on, Craig.
Yeah, bye, Angela. Bye, Nate.
Bye, guys.
Bye.